Now is the co-head of global corporate and investment banking at Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Christian Meissner. Christian, good to see you again.
See you.
And so we were just hearing there from Barclays chief executive Bob Diamond, and one of the things he spoke to us a little bit earlier, and he was talking about the need to make banks, the system, if you like, safe and sound, but also the importance of acknowledging the fact that banks are driving the economy. How difficult has it been to strike the balance between these two things?
Well, it certainly has been a big issue for all of us over the last 18 months. The key driver, on the one hand, being, as we know, regulatory capital requirements have increased dramatically. That has also led to banks deleveraging substantially, and I think that's going to continue. On the other hand, the need to help economic growth and to support, in particular, small and medium-sized enterprises who don't necessarily have access to the capital markets is a big issue for us and everyone as well. So it's difficult, and the two objectives don't necessarily coincide.
So Europe is becoming over-regulated?
Well, I would certainly think that Europe is becoming much harder to do business in, that's for sure. And for banks in particular, the environment hasn't helped, and there are a number of hurdles that still need to be overcome. Yes.
Such as?
Well, first and foremost is the need to have much higher capital levels. And secondly, of course, the regulations have also changed the business mix for many of our firms. So whereas previously we were active in a number of areas, prop trading, other areas as well, which are much more difficult, if not excluded, in current environment. So on one hand, we need more capital, and number two, many of our revenue streams have changed. And so those things make it more difficult.
So which parts of the business do you think will see the most revenue growth or drive revenue more so going forward?
Well, I continue to think that the most important thing is being client-focused and client-centric. And for those firms, I think we are one of them, but for those firms in general who have very much a business model that is centered around the client, as opposed to a business model that's centered around more prop-type activities, will continue to do well. And that's certainly what we're focused on.
Tell me, Christian, what you've learned from Davos so far. We were hearing from German Chancellor Angela Merkel last night. What did you make of her speech?
Well, I think in general, the mood certainly is better. And there's a sense that policymakers are beginning to put specific measures into place that are helping. Certainly the ECB's actions before Christmas were a big component in that. But on the other hand, there's not yet a clear sense that the end game is clear, or indeed that it's imminent. So I would say it's more positive for sure, but some ways to go.
Do we know what the end game is?
Well, I think that's exactly the issue. I don't think anybody really does. And as a result, we continue to have uncertainty and volatility. But again, to be fair, the first 3 weeks of this year have been much, much better than the final quarter of 2011, so that's good news.
What are you expecting later on in the year? Do you think that we could see the sort of market volatility that became a real feature last year?
Well, I think against a generally more positive backdrop, yes, is the answer. Because I think without doubt we are going to have more bumps in the road. There are going to be lots of unknowns, whether it's going to be elections in various important countries, whether it's some of the debt restructuring that is taking place right now, whether it is just other systemically relevant events. And unfortunately, and I think this is one of the big issues, there are relatively few reserves or buffers at the moment. So events which maybe in a previous time might have been relatively minor, today have a very exaggerated effect. So yes, definitely, I think volatility is here to stay.
All right, well, Christian Meissner of Bank of America Merrill Lynch, really good to get your thoughts. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.